going on, everybody? Welcome to the RBS Cinema Podcast.
I know Kung Fu.
Show me.
This is Sparta! I'm thinking I'm back.
Why so serious?
Avengers!
Assemble. I'm Batman.
You better lawyer up, asshole. Because I'm not coming back for 30%. I'm coming back for everything.
I'll be back. You shall not pass!
RBS.
Lovely.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of RBS Cinema. This week's episode, we decided to talk about Face Off.
Face/off.
Well, Face Off.
Face off.
I'd like to take his face off.
And I'm your host, Devin. With me is Jack.
I am still Jack.
And which scratch us saying that we decided to talk about Face Off. The Wheel decided to talk about Face Off.
For us.
The Wheel of Fate of Summer Blockbuster Movies. With that being said, that if you guys are catching up now, what we're doing is that for the summer months from June, July, and August, we are spinning a wheel at the end of each episode. So stay tuned by the end of the episode because we will spin the wheel of summer blockbuster movies, and that will determine on what we're talking about for next week. And as well as thank you all so much for tuning in, watching, listening, however you guys are doing it, whether it's on your commute to work, you are working, you're working out, whatever you're doing chores, have us on in the background, whatever it is. Thank you anyway for doing all that stuff, listening, tuning in, whatever. And be sure to leave a like and comment a movie that you guys want us to talk about, whether that's your favorite movie, a movie that you're interested in, a new movie, whatever. And be sure to share this around with anybody, and also be sure to follow the show and subscribe. So, really appreciate it. Really
Press all the buttons.
Yeah. Press all of the buttons. Literally, just go on your keyboard and just smash them.
So the day of recording this, it is currently the 22nd of June.
Yes.
And so it is now officially summer.
Yes.
Well, it was officially summer yesterday. It's a Sunday today. We usually record this on Saturday, but I had to go move a table. And not only that, I had to go move a table put in the back of a pickup truck, and cat just going on the windowsill. I had to go put it on the back of a pickup truck in 100-degree weather when the wind was blowing like crazy, and the table almost flew out the back of the truck.
Jeez, really?
So yeah, because we had to go on a stretch that was 60 miles per hour, and then we decided not to go on the interstate, which would have been up to 75 miles an hour.
Oh, yeah.
We decided to go on two side roads that had like 45 and 55 and take Highway 370 all the way back to where we live. So we that was stressful.
Yeah.
Tip for anybody who has to move tables using a pickup truck: always be sure to measure. That way that you don't accidentally end up having the top of a table fly out onto the back of the street. It didn't happen.
Well,
you were lucky enough. But anyway, that's the reason why we weren't able to record yesterday when we usually do it. So the podcast is a little bit late by Devin's standards. It still will come out on time probably, but now Devin has to put a little bit more effort into making sure that it gets edited properly.
Yeah, so let's not make this episode 2 hours long.
Well, it's probably not going to. I mean, I certainly don't have 2 hours worth of stuff to talk about this film.
Neither do I. So
don't let that thing let you believe that this movie is not worth your time, because
right.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll give our consensus by the end of the podcast. So, my cat is just in the blinds like a freak. For those of you that are new to the show, what we do is that we will talk about specifically about like who directed, started it, all that boring stuff, and then we'll talk about our own notes that we've taken for the movie that we really like about it, and then go into our consensus and then suggested people. So that way, because I've noticed that people skip around, which is fine. Don't get me wrong. But if you guys don't mind mindless banter back and forth about certain things,
If you don't,
like Annie.
if you're not a fan of like background noise, if you want to just get to like some of
The meat of the sandwich.
like if you want to know what we thought about specifically about a part, then go ahead and skip around. Obviously, I mean, you're the viewer. You get to choose what you want to listen to. You could listen to 2 minutes of this podcast, and that wouldn't matter because we still got your view, we still got your listen. So joke's on you. But anyway, so let's talk about this film.
So
Face-Off.
we're talking about Face Off this week. Like I said, the wheel decided it. So, and there was about, if you guys didn't watch up until the end, like there was about like a pube twice, not once, twice, from Transformers as well as Captain America, where by a pube it was almost John Wick Chapter 2.
So, full disclosure, I had not seen this film before.
Yeah, I was going to say, you've never seen this movie.
No, I'd never seen it.
I've never seen it, like, all the way through that I remember. So.
And for some reason, I thought this movie was a comedy. Because, okay, here's why I thought that is. Because back in the 2000 aughts, right? Mm-hmm. Like when meme culture was starting to get crazy, right?
Yeah.
People would just do these outlines of Nick Cage's face, of him doing like ridiculous reactions, right? The very early stage of like sharing memes on the internet. It was just like, Nick Cage is like, oh really, or like always like a snarky, sarcastic face that Nick Cage was making, and so there was a scene that one of those faces come from a movie that I did not recognize, but I was like, oh, is that this film? That film seemed kind of wacky and crazy. Like, also, like, forgive me for thinking that, like, this is the movie that I thought that, like, Not the Bees was from.
No.
That was another Nick Cage film.
It was The Wicker Man.
Oh, The Wicker Man. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe that was the other movie that I was thinking of. But, like, I thought that was from this film because, like, Nick Cage films, the only one that I really know of for sure that Nick Cage is in, funnily enough, is, like, Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
Ghost Rider is like the one that, that's Nick Cage. That's Nicolas Cage. Mm-hmm. And it's like, maybe this guy just haven't watched enough movies from the 90s to be able to, I haven't watched enough of his films. But he was also like he also did voice acting in like a animated film.
Yeah.
I think.
Spider-Man.
Which one?
Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he's Spider-Man Noir.
That's right. That's the most recent one. But I think he did like one other one. But
and they're also making a live-action like series of Spider-Man Noir, and he's going to be playing as him.
Nice, so. Very cool. What was I going to say? But yeah, I thought this movie was a comedy going into it because Face Off. It seems like it seems like a play on words, like. But then when I started watching it, I was like, oh, this is not a comedy. This is not a comedy at all.
This is an action movie. What did I walk into?
Forgive me for not understanding or never having seen this film because I was not alive. I was barely not alive when this movie came out. So.
Well, I think I remember owning this on VHS originally, so.
Also, my parents would not have let me watch this film, because there's this movie is very rated R for a 90s film.
Yes.
So I'm glad that I did see it because it's been on a list of things like, I should probably watch Face Off. I hear good things about it, so that's why I wanted to put it on the wheel. So here we are. So
because this was your pick for Summer Movie Blockbuster.
This was one of my 6,
which is the reason why I bought this shirt because it's Blockbuster.
Yeah, because you're gonna wear that every podcast now.
No.
All right, because that would be an interesting bit if you did it from the very beginning.
It's like Devin never really changes a shirt.
It's like,
why? Am I watching the same episode? The only thing that changes is you.
No, he just has like 7 Blockbuster shirts, and he wears one every single day of the week. Every day.
And I just rotate them out.
Yeah, there you go.
So, but yeah, I thought it was fitting because this is a blockbuster of a movie.
Yes, this was high up on the list of.
And you could have also rented it from Blockbuster. So
yeah, you could have. But like, this is high up on the list of like summer blockbusters. Face Off was.
Yeah.
And I was like, again, I wonder why it was, because me thinking it was a comedy the whole time, it must be really funny. No, it's not a comedy.
No, but I do think that this is actually pretty fitting to be a summer blockbuster movie.
Yeah.
So even like
It's very
even
it's
even
a
if
very
it,
good action film.
Yeah, even if it came out like during like February or something, like it still would have felt like a summer blockbuster. So, but yeah, otherwise, talking about what the movie is specifically about, it is about to foil a terrorist plot. An FBI agent assumes the identity of the criminal who murdered his son via facial transplant surgery, but the crook wakes up prematurely and vows revenge. Which I don't know why he would vow revenge.
The criminal
Right.
who wakes up
Yeah.
because he like took his face off.
Face off.
You're gonna hear that about 5 more times during the course of this podcast, by the way.
Oh yeah, 100%. But we got director John Woo. So this is a John Woo joint. And if you are not familiar with John Woo, he is a big action director.
Yeah.
So, and his biggest shtick for his movies is that he likes to do pigeons in slow motion for action shots. So, if you didn't catch that from this
makes
movie.
sense. Like, yeah,
So-
I mean, there was that one scene. I think that John Woo also had a part in making some of the Max Payne games,
I think so.
or maybe Max
No.
Payne was inspired by John
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah, because like he has the slow-mo effect. And
Yeah.
then that way that you can shoot a bunch of bad guys when you run around and jump. So, but we got writers Mike Werb. It's a weird last name, but then again, so is mine. And Michael Collery. So, just 2 writers for this movie and director John Woo himself. And then just going down the list of cast here. Not everybody, but we got John Travolta plays as Sean Archer. Nicolas Cage is Castor Troy. Joan Allen is Eve Archer, which is John Travolta's wife.
Yeah, Sean's wife.
Alessandro Nivola, who is Pollux Troy, who is Nicolas Cage's brother. Gina Gershon, Sasha Hassler, Dominique Swain. Yeah, Jamie Archer being the daughter. Nick Cassavetes?
Cassavetes, maybe?
Yeah, Cassavetes. Dietrich Hassler and Harvey Presnell is Victor Lazaro. But we've also got a slew of other people in here. I did also want to shout out... here he is, Thomas Jane. He was one of the prisoners that Nicolas Cage was talking to. So, because I didn't recognize him. I'm like, wait, is that Thomas Jane? So yeah.
Who's Thomas Jane?
Thomas Jane was the Punisher.
Oh, in the original Punisher film.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant like Punisher and like Daredevil.
No, that's
Okay.
that's John Bernthal.
Yeah. What I wanted to shout out was John Carroll Lynch, who plays as the prison guard. Mm-hmm. One of the guys that like takes him back to the room and that puts the metal boots on him.
Yeah.
He plays Arthur Lee Allen in Zodiac.
Yeah.
He's the Zodiac killer. Mm-hmm. Or they eventually found
Their version of the Zodiac.
They eventually found out that he was the Zodiac, but like they didn't find out in the course of the film because by the time that film was made, they still weren't sure.
Yeah.
But then they solved the case later after the movie was made.
Right.
So he's a very good actor.
Yeah.
I think he was in some other stuff too, but like he was most notable as Arthur Lee Allen in Zodiac. So I was like, hey, yeah, that's him.
Oh yeah.
That's kind of cool. So, but really, the 2 stars of the movie are like it's John Travolta and Nick Cage.
Oh yeah.
Everybody else in this film is like sort of just like
There.
yeah. There's not really much of the supporting cast. It's mostly just about the 2 main ones. There's a little bit of Pollux, that kind of jumps in, and maybe a little bit of Sean's daughter, Jamie. But
Because I mean, like you only have just the 2 actors that are just like the centerpiece of the movie, and that's basically it. But like that's how a lot of like 90s action movies was just showcasing the both two leads of the movie.
Yeah.
So, and then got a few taglines for you here.
A few of them.
Few of them. So, in order to catch him, he must become him. It's like that's like the big one. To destroy your enemy, you must find him, face him, and then become him. Mm-hmm. So, which is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
It's like looking in a mirror, only not. That's literally what
That's
John
a lot-
Travolta
that's a-
says
yeah, it's-
to Nicolas Cage. So, and I'm all like, okay, only one will survive.
Yeah. Kind of have to. Kill each other.
yeah. And then this is on the DVD box. It's like, in order to trap him, he must become him.
Oh, so it's just the same.
It's just like the same
or to
thing.
trap him. They changed
Yeah.
one word. Okay.
Right.
Interesting.
So, but yeah, that's talking more specifically the in-depth scope of the movie itself. But now we can actually talk about our favorite bits of the movie.
Yeah.
So I had written down that it was just like the John Woo joint. So
Yeah, John Woo joints.
the John Woo joints. So,
but like, the whole movie starts out pretty good. I would say it's like, it seems cliche now, but like they open up with a scene on a carousel, and John Travolta's with his son. Sean is with Michael.
Yeah.
I should say, and they're on the Ferris wheel, and
John
Castor
Travolta.
Troy is
Not John Travolta, but Nicolas Cage with this mustache
Sean
to
Tra-
emphasis that he is not, that it's in the past.
in the past. Yeah,
It's all like, yeah, he would have
that
been
was-
wearing a mustache
that was a
during
good
this part of his life.
But
And
basically-
then when we actually catch up to him in present day, like years later, it's like 6 years later, and now
Yeah.
he doesn't have his mustache.
Yeah,
That's the only
it's-
thing that changed. His
Yeah.
haircut is still the same. He doesn't have a mustache. That's the only difference.
So the premise of this film is that Castor Troy is a mega mondo terrorist.
Yeah.
Before like 9/11.
Yeah.
If this movie happened after 9/11,
Well, he's like
Castor Troy his ass would have been grass.
Yeah.
right,
Because
they were-
like he's
Like-
really good about like setting up explosives and stuff.
Like big criminal, huge psychopath.
yeah.
And it's only fair that like they got Nick Cage to cast him. Brilliant casting choice, by the way. Because he goes like there's just so many scenes in
Well,
this film.
like
They're
just
like,
the beginning scene with him, like in what is it? Like he's at the mall or
it's
something.
in an airport.
Yeah, and then like there's the choir that's singing because
And
they have
then-
a special like thing that's going on with the church choir, and he comes in as dressed as a
priest. Yeah.
and then,
then
like
he gets behind
he's
one of
hearing
the-
them sing.
He's
And
singing
he comes
Hallelujah.
in.
They're singing
and so
Hallelujah.
yeah, and so he comes in, claps his hands, and starts like headbanging and like basically throwing his hair around.
He's
If he
probably
had
on
hair.
mega drugs.
Yeah,
And then he gets behind one of the girls that's in the choir stand. He's
well, like she notices him. She's the only one that notices him.
Yeah.
When he walks in, when he claps, and so she looks up, and she's like all into him for some reason.
Yeah, it's
and so she drops her sheet when he starts walking up, and he's just like, "Oh, look, you dropped something. Here you go." And he goes like, starts like seducing her, and just going like, "Oh yeah, like I could eat a peach for hours."
Oh my god.
And then
yeah,
like licks the side of her face, and then grabs her ass, and then just like
makes
does
the best face. Yes.
just like that, and like,
It's such
oh
a
my
good
god,
face.
it is. John, I'm gonna confuse them, but like Nicolas Cage, just makes the most ridiculous faces like in the 90s.
He definitely
So-
like it definitely is good for him to go over the top.
Oh yeah,
And it's like I like that they set this up because they have to showcase both of the two leads, their personalities.
Mm-hmm.
Like that you have to be super like over the top with them just to demonstrate like, okay, these characters are super hyperbolic foils. They're different from each other and they
Yeah.
act like this, so that when they switch, you can see that it's kind of weird now that, you know, John Travolta has to act like Nick Cage,
Yeah.
and Nick Cage has to act like John Travolta's character,
Yeah.
right? It's like they were like it's really awesome. I think that like how much coaching they had to go through to like be able to get each other's mannerisms down,
yeah,
because it's not just one thing to like act like the character; it's another thing to act like the person, right?
yeah.
So, But that was pretty cool. So, like, we learned that, like, through a series of, like, computer stuff and stuff like that, like, again, Castor Troy, big Mongo terrorist, killed Sean Archer's son by shooting him through his chest and killed him because, meant to kill the guy, killed his son. Pretty stereotypical.
Oh yeah,
like beginning of like a revenge sort of story, and then Sean Archer's been chasing Castor Troy for 6 years.
Oh yeah,
and only now do they realize that, like, oh, he's in town, he's about to get on a plane, we gotta stop him.
To piggyback off of what you were saying, I saw on IMDb that they actually spent 2 weeks together to actually get each other's mannerisms and stuff. Because, like, that's what they would have to do is, like, play each other.
Yeah. So
because, like, that was actually really interesting to me is, like, how would they be able to, like, play as each other and understand it? But, like, that's what they did is that they spent 2 weeks together to understand each other's mannerisms and to actually, like, copy each other, as well as the fact that they would give each other, like, social cues on to influx their voices and stuff like that. So that to me was actually pretty interesting to see, because it's all like, oh, like, how would John Travolta be able to act like Nick Cage without it being either over the top or a characteristic of, or a caricature rather of Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, because again, it's not enough just to act like somebody. You have to become them.
Yeah, exactly. Because, like, you're literally just, like, taking each other's faces and swapping them.
Yeah.
So you're literally just changing people. That's all you're doing.
Yeah.
So, like, you would still act the same, even if you changed your face.
You're not swapping your, like, it's almost a better story than, like, somebody swapping their brains.
Yeah.
Because it's like they still have. You just change your appearance, but you're still the same person.
Right, because, like, even during the scene when they do the operation, they even went, like, as far as to write this in and to show it of going, like, okay, like, to the normal person, it would just be explained as going, like, yeah, we're just going to take your face and put it on their person.
Yeah.
And then it's all like, okay, but wouldn't they look different, though? Like, their body would be different? And it's all like, well... Yeah, so then they had to shoehorn this in of being like, well, we would do this procedure. You guys would basically look exactly the same is the thing. Like, oh, yeah, like, especially with John Travolta where his character has a scar from when he got shot.
Yeah.
It's like, well, now he no longer has that scar. And it's like their muscle would be different. Their body... their body fat would be different.
Yeah.
And it would basically just, like, swap them.
The one thing they couldn't change was their height, but it's like you're a little bit high difference, but it's negligible,
Right.
So it's like...
So then they would just, like, change their hairstyle, do that stuff.
So there's this little bit of, like, science fiction added into, like, this film as well.
Oh, yeah. It's a little bit of science fiction because it's like, I would imagine you could do a procedure to, like, swap faces. But I that's why I said I think, but, like, I don't know that medical thing.
No, I don't think that would be, like, maybe, like, plastic surgery, but not so much as, like, taking
medical procedures to just swap each other's
face
faces
off and then being able to surgically put it back on and, like, mend the skin without, like, horrendous scarring.
Right.
And also, like, immediately.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is a bit far fetched.
Yeah.
But, like, so it all like the reason we get here in the first place is that they have this big scene at the airport where he's chasing, like, Castor Troy and his brother Pollux are about to, like, skip town.
Yeah, they're about to take off, and then they stop them, and then so his brother gets arrested, but Castor gets away, and Archer actually confronts him, and then actually, like, thinks that he's dead because there's like because they're at the airport and they smash through a hangar and there's, like, a turbine.
Yeah, and then he hit the turbine, and then he
like blows him back,
and he like gets, like, super hit on the head, and he goes into a coma, or supposedly goes into a coma.
Yeah, because then even John Travolta, Archer, he was all like, later on they find out, like, he finds out that he's still alive, and he goes like, wow, you're, like, keeping him alive, like, what the hell? And so the only reason why is because that in the beginning of the movie, at the airport, they had he set up a bomb that was going to go off on a specific day, and it's going to take out, like, a mile of the
like
town, of the city.
3-mile radius, I think.
Something like that.
Like, and then they don't know where it is. So
they got him, but then they go like, well, we don't know where the bomb is. And so they start telling Archer, going like, well, we have this experiment that we can do for you, and you just take each other's faces and just put them on.
Because we need to know where the bomb is, but Pollux won't tell us because he would rather just watch a bunch of people die.
Right.
So what we're going to do is we're going to have you
go into the prison
as
Troy.
As Castor.
Right.
Like,
so we need to take your face onto.
We need to take
his face on yours. And then
we're gonna take his face off.
Yeah, and so we need to take your face off, and then we need to take his face off, but put his face on your body, and then we're gonna do this experiment, and then you're gonna go into the prison, talk to his brother, see where the bomb is, and then we're gonna take you out once you know the information, and then we're gonna go and shut off the bomb.
Yeah, and then
like that's basically the whole scheme of why he has Castor Troy's face in the first place.
Yeah, because the whole conflict is like, oh, Sean thought that he would be done finally with like he would like not do like light case work for the FBI.
Yeah, because
after he caught Castor because
his home life isn't great because he's constantly out because it's been 6 years since his son died.
Yeah,
and he's been hell bent on trying to catch Castor, and he's just been basically going home, just immediately goes to work as soon as he wakes up. And so like his home life isn't that great. He's a rebellious teenage girl, and his wife is just like very distant from him. And once he goes home and tells her like, hey, we finally got him, she was all like, yeah, now you can finally like be home.
He's like,
and even he goes like, I'll do whatever you want. I'll go to therapy about Michael. I'll like do a desk job. I'll be home all the time. Like I'll no longer have to be doing this all the time. And so when he goes back to work, they congratulate him. And so he gets told all this information of what he has to do. He goes back home, tells his wife, going like, well, there's one more thing that I have to do. And so she goes like, well, you promised me. And he goes like, I know, I have to do this one thing and then I'm done. But he doesn't tell her what it is.
Yeah, because he can't. Because no one can know about the whole thing, which is super inconvenient. We'll find out later on.
Yeah, because like in the plane scene when they're about to take off, like I thought it was kind of like weird and creepy at the same time that like the stewardess was talking on the phone, going like, okay, like I have to go, like my people are here. And it's like they get on the plane and Castor goes like, oh, like, you know, come sit on my lap. And so he goes like, I could eat a peach for hours.
You know, I can eat a peach for hours.
And especially where he goes like, oh, if I did this, would you? And he goes like, well, let me rephrase. If I were to let you suck my tongue, like all this bunch of stuff. And
again,
so
it's all set up to just like
make him a giant like sleazeball and like a creep and everything, because like we already know that he is, because he literally walked up to an underage girl, tells her I could eat a peach for hours, and grabs her ass and all that and licks the side of her face.
And that
no, he doesn't lick the side of her face, because he gets close to her ear and like basically like flicks his tongue at her, just goes like and I'm it's gross. But
they need to do that because they need to like show that it's going to be difficult to be able to replicate that behavior for Sean Archer.
It's also the thing of being like, she was so willing to do it too. She goes like,
that's true.
Oh hell yeah, dude! Like this is my guy. Like this is what I'm into.
Nick
and
Cage,
I'm like, what?
White men with a receding hairline.
Yeah, I'm like a complete psychopath. But yeah, we finally had the procedure, which I really liked, was that they like just cut around his face, and like he tells the doctor, going like, well, I have this scar on my chest.
He's like,
when we're done with this, I want it back.
I want it back, just a reminder.
And he goes like, okay, and which is completely dumb, because by the end of it, like he has like they had the procedure again, right, to like swap each other's faces again.
Yeah.
And he tells another doctor, and he goes like, well, that scar that I had, yeah, I don't need that anymore because I finally like I don't need it as a reminder.
Yeah, because he got over the trauma of his son.
Well, yeah, but it was the fact that he told another doctor that he's never met before, going like, oh, this scar that I used to have that you know nothing about, yeah, I don't need it.
There used to be a scar here. I don't need it anymore.
Yeah.
Because maybe it's still on Castor's body. Because like,
Well, no, they just got rid of it because like they needed to like.
I think they were gonna get rid of it when he swapped his face back.
Well, yeah, they were going to put the scar back onto his body.
No. I think they never removed it.
No, they did.
They did?
Yeah, that was the whole thing, Jack.
That's so confusing.
Because because if anybody saw him with the shirt off that knew him prior, they would have been like, "Hey, where did you get that scar? I've never seen that scar before. Where did you get it?" Especially his brother, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
So, like, but granted that like that would have been the whole thing of him meeting a completely new doctor that has never done this procedure before and he did not interact with prior, of just being like, hey, that scar that I used to have, yeah, I don't need it anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. Like, the doctor literally went like, okay. Like, I would have been like, all right, I don't know what you're talking about, but whatever.
Sure.
So,
whatever you want, buddy. And it's like,
I don't see a scar here anyway, so I don't know what you're talking about.
And
so,
to preface this, like, the whole reason that the doctors think that this will work, or the agents will think that this will work in, like, fooling Pollux Troy that Archer is now Castor, is that, like, because Archer has been hunting him for 6 years.
Yeah, like, he would know him.
Everything about him.
Yeah.
And, like, can get him down to a T, other than, because
he would know how he acts and the way he thinks is because he's been tracking him down for 6 years, so he knows him inside and out, is what they said.
So that's the reason for, like, well, you know, how do they know this will work, like that, you know? And then of course after the procedure is done, they put a microchip in his larynx,
right? So that way that they could have him have Castor's voice.
And it's like, just be careful, it'll come loose if you hit something on your throat. It's like, oh, that's
if you hit your throat, or if you have a really violent cough or sneeze, it'll disrupt the chip, and you won't have it anymore. So they're like, so be careful not to get hit in the throat. Immediately cut.
And the whole reason they thought this would work at all was that they believed that Castor was like brain dead, basically.
Oh yeah,
he was in a coma.
He was in a brain dead. He was never going to wake up. And then he, of course, wakes up. How convenient.
And, like, that is an example of a great plot twist.
Yeah,
right?
Because it's all like, oh yeah, like this guy is in a coma, so he's not going to wake up, and then immediately wakes up.
I am so glad that
after the procedure,
I went into this blind, because if I had watched a couple of like clips like beforehand, I would have been that would have not been as surprising.
Would have been spoiled.
Like, it would have been spoiled. It's a great plot twist.
Yeah.
Like, because again, you are like, you keep getting told like, we're positive he's done.
Yeah, he's in a coma. He's not waking up.
That we're so sure this is gonna work because nothing happens. And then what does Castor find as soon as he wakes up?
His face off.
He's got bandages all over his face, and not only his face is off, but whose face is right in front of him? It's
Archer.
It's Archer's face, and of
which
course
is his nemesis.
They're this is like arch enemies.
Mm-hmm.
And like real arch enemies, and not ones that like pretend to be enemies for like one movie and then they go to being friends the very next movie.
Right. Like especially for the fact that like he gets on the phone with a couple of his buddies and he goes like, he doesn't tell him specifically what happened, but he just is on the phone just like being hysterical.
Yeah.
And of course, like, I would imagine it would be very painful.
Yeah.
To just not have your skin on your face.
And
so
I appreciate that they didn't like show us like full frontal, like what
specifically what it looked like.
Because that would have been a bit gross.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like,
that.
Speaking of, like after that, his buddies, like his friends, get the doctor, take him to the hospital, so that way that they can do the procedure on Castor, so that way he could be Archer.
Yeah.
And the thing is that like you see tiny seconds of his face and stuff, because because like he's sitting there in the procedure room and watching the video that they documented of the procedure happening, and like the doctor walks in and he just goes like, what the hell's happening? And he goes like, hey doc, like I took these pain meds, you know, like they work great. And he goes like, oh, I was just watching your movie, like it's fantastic. Like while he gets up and starts clapping, you see from the doctor's perspective like the side view of his face, and it's all red. And I'm like, okay, cool, like we're gonna be able to see this.
That's how you do it. Instead, like that's,
you don't need to show it. Like,
that's like that's like if Red Skull was like way more graphic.
Oh yeah,
you know?
and then like he walks up to the doctor and you see in the reflection of his glasses like what his face looks like, but not specifically.
Yeah, because
so,
I bet that they would have taken a lot of like makeup artistry.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And like special effects to be able to make it look like that.
Yeah,
not necessarily visual effects, but like again, mostly like costuming and makeup.
Yeah, because I honestly think it might have been the fact that there's like, okay, well, we don't have enough money in the budget to actually show this, so we're just going to like
do it. We can
like
figure it
show
out.
small bits of it, but not just like a whole like big huge face reveal. So, but yeah, they do the procedure where he's now Archer, and cut to actual Archer being at the prison,
which
and like
this prison is just dumb.
Yeah,
if you ask me. Like it's a high security prison that you when you arrive there you put metal shoes.
Yeah, you put on metal boots that are magnetic to the floor, so that
the prisoners can't run away quickly. But like
even which is dumb anyway, because like they're on a secluded like place,
oil rig anyway.
Yeah,
like, it's
basically like in an oil rig like in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah,
to where even if you could escape, you couldn't leave.
But it's like, do you realize what you have done if those like if for whatever reason that power gets like lost because of like a storm or something, and all of a sudden you have a bunch of prisoners with metal feet?
Yeah,
like people are just gonna start like kicking the shit out of people.
Well,
which happens.
Yeah, I was gonna say
like,
which does happen because like Archer makes his escape out of the prison and stuff. But like, the fact that when he finally like is at the prison and everybody's like looking at him, because everybody thinks that he's dead.
Yeah,
right. Because that's what the news said, is like, oh yeah, like, you know, Nicolas Cage is dead. Blah blah blah. And with that, it's like, okay, cool. So everybody thinks that he's dead. So one of the prisoners, damn it, I forgot his name now.
It doesn't matter.
But like the guy that was the Punisher, Thomas Jane. That's
what isn't it? Okay.
Yeah, Thomas Jane comes up to him and he goes like, hey man, like, you don't remember me? And he goes like, oh yeah, you're this guy. And he goes like, and he does a little bit of a slip up. He goes like, yeah, he goes like, well, Archer caught you.
Yeah.
Because he still thinks that he's Archer, because of course he would, because and especially for the fact that like when they first bring him in front of the mirror before that they have him go to the prison,
he freaks out
and he just goes like
they have to you know, sedate him,
so to help him calm down.
Shock. Yeah,
so because he just goes like telling his friend of going like, Tito, he goes like, you know what, when we get done with this, when you take this face off, burn it.
Yeah, and also take my wedding ring with you.
Yeah. And because he Thomas Jane confronts him and he goes like, hey man, everybody thought that you were dead. And he goes like, well, obviously I'm not if I'm here. And because he sees Troy's brother, and he goes to confront his brother, but before that, like, he gets into a fight and everything, but Pollux doesn't really believe that to be his brother for some reason, because he's not acting like him.
Yeah, so he has to like turn up the crazy, like he uses like the crazy eyes,
face. And he fights this guy that apparently he goes up to Pollux afterwards, and he goes like, hey, like, because of my coma, I'm a little fucked up. Like, what basically happened? And he goes like, oh yeah, like that guy that you fought, like you fucked his wife and you fucked his sister.
Okay.
So, and like that's the reason why he's pissed off, and he goes like, oh, okay, that kind of makes sense. He goes like, yeah, that is something I would do.
Isn't it like Bortrov or something like that? Like that's his name?
Or like Boltrog, something.
Yeah, something like that. Some Russian name. I feel like.
And then he was telling him like, so he's kind of suspicious about him. Yeah. So he goes like, what is the medication that I have that I'm on? And he goes like, are you kidding me? Like I basically hand fed you those pills for years.
Yeah, so it's like,
And he goes like, oh, it was like Vitrix or something like that.
yeah, something like that.
So that whole thing is like pretty interesting of going like the brother's onto him, so he knows that something's up. He goes like, this doesn't seem like it's my brother. So, but yeah, so they have that whole thing, and then they have the procedure for Castro to have Archer's face on now, and now he believes him to be Archer. So
Yeah, but like what happens before that is that Archer's able to successfully get the location of the bomb out,
Yeah.
so you're thinking like, oh, cool, mission complete.
yeah, well, he doesn't get the location; he gets the date, and then he gets the location.
Yeah, that's what they already knew. They already didn't they already know the date though? But like he I think
No, wait, yeah, because like he starts interrogating like Castor Troy's like basically posse,
yeah.
like his friends and stuff, and then so they tell him that like, wait, I don't know anything. The only thing I know is that it's going to be on the 18th, and that's
the
it.
18th, yeah.
And so like they knew when it was going to happen, but they didn't know where
in the city was.
And so then Archer tells or asks Pollux like, oh yeah, like it's going to be super fucked up, right? Like when the bomb goes off, he goes like, yeah, I can't believe we did it at the LA convention center.
Yeah, something like that. And then
So he calls up the people, but turns out that Castor already has Archer's face on, so he's already pretending to be Archer. And then he also kills all of the people that was associated with this procedure.
Yeah.
Like Tito, the doctor, the nurses, everybody, kills them, and now he's able to like walk around as Archer. And they go to like they take Archer to the
prison.
this place to have Castor to come in to be like, oh, like it's like looking in the mirror, only not.
It's like looking in a mirror, only not.
Like he's getting all giddy and excited, and he goes like, oh man, you're so fucking handsome and hot.
He goes to the visitor center. It's
Yeah, that's what it is.
What is really what I thought was like, oh, it's really cool, and it was such a shock to me. It's like, oh, the mission's accomplished. Like, yay, we feel really good for Archer.
Right, like he's gonna get pulled
he did
out.
It. Like,
yeah.
he did it.
He knows where the bomb is.
But he
they
doesn't
can go,
realize. So when he finally finds out that like someone comes to visit him, and it's
basically Castor as
seeing
him.
as in his, like seeing you in your body that's outside your body must have been like terrifying, and it's your arch enemy.
Right, and especially where like you have a few lines that are like really like synonymous with this movie. It's like, I could eat a peach for hours.
Yeah.
And like I'm gonna take his face off. And especially where it's like looking in the mirror, only not. So
like
that
the side eye,
the side,
the
side head tilt.
Like just the way John Travolta is like smiling the whole time.
Yeah,
it's just really,
I love that.
unsettling.
I love that interaction that John Travolta can nail Nicolas Cage's mannerisms.
I know, right? It's
and like that's the reason why that I mentioned that they spent 2 weeks together to get each other's mannerisms and stuff, because John Travolta's character is a lot more serious versus Nicolas Cage's is a lot more flamboyant and like crazy and sporadic and stuff. Mm-hmm. So like it's almost like he doesn't have control over what he's doing, so he just does it. He's like very impulsive.
He's also on drugs, so a lot of drugs.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like especially when they set up the bomb and they go to the airstrip to get on the private jet. They
bring him a suitcase and it has
two golden guns,
like 1911s.
I think so. And then like his gum, his drugs, his money, like all this bunch of stuff. So, and like I wanted to also point out that like when he gets out of the car, he looks very cool, like with the duster and everything, with like the really long
he's
duster.
tripped out for sure.
Yeah, and I'm like, damn, like they really made him look cool in that specific shot. Like he gets out of the car, woof, like his coat goes flying and stuff, and then like as he's walking, I'm like, damn, they made him look super cool in this scene.
Sunglasses on,
and then especially where he changes sunglasses, and like his outfit was just like from top to bottom, really good. Like everything matched perfectly. Because then he takes off the duster, he puts on his jacket, for his suit, and then he switches sunglasses to where like they have red lenses. I'm like, that's really cool. But yeah, and then especially where John Archer like basically has John, I'm blanking on his name now. Like, keep getting everything confused because
there's a lot of name changing around here.
Yeah, so where he has Troy to his throat, and he's just like, die.
Yeah.
And like trying to strangle him, and then they all come in and they beat him and stuff. And so like, which I just recently saw, which is perfect timing. I recently just saw a video of the behind the scenes of how they set that up. And so it's all like they had the camera guys on a table, because when I saw this I was like, wait, where's the table? But there wasn't a table there. Like they just shot on a table, like the top view point of the over the shoulder shot. And so they were like, so they cut and then they went back and then they redid the shot.
Really?
And so like I was like, oh man, like I didn't even know about this. But I think that stuff is interesting to me, of like how they do all that camera work and stuff.
You did a lot of behind the scenes research for this film, huh?
No, I didn't actually. No, I saw that on Facebook like a couple weeks ago or something.
Oh, okay.
So,
right.
But yeah, so that was interesting to me. But yeah, like that is what he would do, is like trying to basically kill him. By any chance. But
now he's conflicted because it's like, well, I can't.
I
don't want to kill him,
right?
Because he's got my face,
yeah,
and like if I kill him, then I'm stuck in this body forever,
right? Because everybody thinks that he's me, and that's not the case.
So if I kill him, then I'm going to like be stuck here forever, and I'm also going to be like, no one's going to believe me that I'm Sean Archer because Sean Archer's dead.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of like subtext.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of things. Like, a lot of things you can sort of like infer what they're thinking in their dialogue, and I'm glad that we get something we can infer and they don't like outright like say in like inner monologues and stuff like that.
Right.
And having inner monologues in this movie would dull down the plot so much.
Yeah.
There's a lot of show. It's not a show not tell.
Oh yeah.
In this movie, and I love that sort of stuff. I love it when movies show don't tell.
Yeah.
Those are some of the best like moments when in like writing and plot is when like you set something up or you like let the audience infer like, he's like I felt myself talking like, oh, this is what's about to happen. It's like, is it him? It's like, oh yeah, yep, right. It's him. Yep. So
yeah, because
if that makes any sense.
Yeah, because then afterwards he goes back to his cell. His brother, like he finds out that his brother is being released
because he's
and also given the fact that like
he's getting winter's protection too.
It's because like when he wasn't being interrogated yet. That comes after this. But like it was like when they were on the plane. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Because he sees Archer and like he waves at him with his pinky. So he does it to him when he's leaving. He goes like, "Hey bro, like I'll see you later. Like I'll see you on the other side." And he waves to him like he did. So he knows that he's Archer. And they take his brother to an interrogation room at the FBI, and they're like, "Well, what are you doing?" Like, you know, like he hasn't given us any information. He goes like, "Oh no, trust me, like he'll talk."
He'll talk to me.
And he turns off all the audio equipment and video equipment and goes and talks to him. And he goes like,
"You need to be making me look good, brother."
Yeah. So
it's like, what are you talking about? And it's like,
he goes like, "Oh, like I'm the more handsome one now." And because like they think each other as like hot and attractive and stuff. It's like they're really not. Because like his brother is smart, but he's kind of like a shy person and stuff.
Yes.
So
but they're both psychopaths, but like
but he's more smart and he's just more rambunctious, so
Castor
or
comes
impulsive.
Like in this interrogation room, Castor comes up with the idea that like, okay bro, so I'm in Archer's body now. So we got to pivot, like do a complete 180 on our plan. And I was like, you got to tell me where the bomb is.
Yeah, you got to tell me where the bomb is so that way we can go and stop the detonation, because then I will look like a hero.
And then we don't have to worry about running away for the rest of our lives because you'll get off because you gave information about where the bomb is, and you'll get a reduced sentence or something like that.
Yeah.
You'll get like house arrest or something like that.
Right.
And then I'll look great, and then we'll just live our lives like this now.
Right.
Because this is just the situation that we're in now, and I gotta like they're like Castor's ability to improvise.
Oh yeah.
Is like really good, which is again just good writing on their part to be able to like say like not to make it almost impossible for Castor Troy, like he's so crazy he could never pull it off. No, he's able to pull it off.
Oh yeah.
So that makes it more interesting to see, like, okay, so how is Castor going to implement himself into Sean Archer's life?
Right. Yeah, because, like, that's the whole thing is that now that they are each other, now they have to live each other's lives.
Yes.
Because, cut to now Archer escaping the prison and then getting up to the roof and then realizing that it's on an oil rig, that it's in the middle of the ocean. Now he has nowhere to go. After he realizes this, so he actually jumps down because they're going to shoot at him, jumps into the water. He finally makes it to the mainland, which is just crazy.
It looks like
that he's able to like swim that far.
It looks like Sean Archer took my advice about putting like a bunch of metal on his shoes and then jumping into the water.
Yeah.
You know,
so
from the last podcast episode, you watched that?
Oh,
about what it's like.
No, because he didn't have the shoes on.
Oh yeah, he already took off his shoes.
Yeah,
right.
because like his whole thing was to basically, he was told that like, yeah, if you act up, they'll take you to like the electric chair.
Yeah.
And like they'll basically have you as a vegetable.
Yeah.
And so like that's what he planned on doing, was like going up to your guard, asking for a cigarette, beating the shit out of him.
Yeah, like,
and then
you
getting
got
a
a
cigarette.
light?
Yeah, and then like them
Basically
carrying him, going like,
causes a
I got
riot.
it. Like, does anybody have a light? I need a light. Because
a
like
light.
that's basically what Castor Troy
that's
would
a
do.
good scene too. It's
Yeah.
like when they're hauling him away because I need a light because like.
Anybody got a light?
Go, like, you know, prisoner brutality, you know.
Right.
Like,
They're like, hey, that's not right.
yeah.
So, and but yeah, they take him to that room, and then we find the guy that was beating the shit out of him earlier was there.
Yeah.
And so like now
And he's like-
he was being electrocuted, and he just goes like, hey, like, do you mind if I light this? And they're like, yeah, sure. And they take off his boots, the metal boots, and then
That's because that's the only time that you get your boots taken
yeah,
off.
because otherwise, if they do that, then they just electrocute you and you die.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's the only reason why they took off the boots, and that's what he wanted to do, was
Yeah,
so
I
that way then
remember
he could
that now,
escape.
okay.
So, but no, you're still dumb for thinking of doing that for Captain
Okay,
America.
whatever.
So, if you guys don't know about that joke, go watch the Captain America video.
Yeah.
It's
very funny.
hilarious. I'm gonna make a clip. I'm gonna post it. So
Are you gonna edit properly this time?
yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so
I forget, like, how exactly does he escape again? It was like he
was doing the floor plan to know where to go.
Right.
And he was going to get to the roof, and then these guards on a helicopter, they come and they're going to shoot at him.
Yeah.
And he jumps off the
Well, I mean,
roof.
like, so he leans down to like the guy on the floor who like Castor like apparently had sex with his wife and daughter. He's like, hey,
yeah, he
I
goes
didn't do
like, hey,
that.
I didn't do that.
I'm
like,
sorry if I did. You know?
Yeah. He goes
And
like,
then-
your wife loves you very much and everything and blah, blah, blah. And then
And
like,
then he gets up and then he like starts beating.
yeah, he starts beating the shit out of people.
Which-
and then he also like kicks the main guy in the face
Again,
to
with
escape and stuff.
metal boots.
No.
Oh, okay.
No,
All right.
again, he didn't have the metal boots on, Jack. They took him off.
There was at
once
some
they
point
took-
that some
once-
guys did some kicking. You know, like
Yeah, he did.
kicking. I want to do some kicking.
Kicking? Oh, I want to do some kicking.
Yeah.
Like, but then like they put their whole escape with, and they get guns and they start shooting at people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
And that's when Archer gets the floor plans to know how to escape, and then he gets up to the roof and then
Yeah.
he jumps off. So, but
not before the guy who helped him escape falls
yeah.
down and dies.
Right.
And then there's a whole prison riot. And
Right.
Stuff like that, and it's like
So
he
then-
goes out.
yeah, because then he, I think it's his brother that calls Castor, and he goes like, "Hey, I think that like you got to the mainland." He goes like, "Yeah, I figured like," or they said that he escaped, and he goes like, "Well, I don't think that he would be crazy enough to get here." Mm-hmm. So, and then cut to him actually like being there.
Yeah,
like,
he's
now.
like
So,
he steals keys out of
a valet parking lot.
which again, back in 1997.
Yeah, but the crazy thing to me is that like there's no valet standing there.
Yeah,
so,
it's like
he's gone. So
like, that was crazy to me. Like, oh, just leave keys in your
well, I mean, like that's what they would do. Is
This
like
is
they would
Los
just hang them
Angeles,
up
too.
Well, yeah, like that's what they would do. Like they would hang them up on a hook and dictate whatever.
Yeah, but that, without
number
being
it is.
locked, I thought that was really.
Yeah, I think it. Like they would usually keep them locked or something. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. I never worked valet, so I have no idea. But
Didn't Fabian work valet for a
don't know.
little bit? I think he told me he did once. That's why he's so into cars. 'Cause
Oh,
he used
maybe.
to work as a valet.
yeah, but yeah. So later on in the movie, they basically switch each other's lives because I thought it was funny that like Troy is driving down Archer's neighborhood and he goes like, oh god, like I'm in hell. He goes like, I don't think I'll ever get an erection ever. And then like his wife is outside and he drives past the house
And then he has to, like,
notices
back.
and
He's
then
like, "Oh,
like
shit."
slams on the brakes and he goes like, oh right, and then
reverse.
like backs up and he just goes like, hey, wife of mine, blah blah blah. And just the whole thing of him completely 180 of being like, okay, you're completely different now. And she goes like, oh, like, don't you have that assignment? And he goes like, oh no, that's already done.
Yeah,
And especially where it's all like,
because he didn't
that-
know the full extent of the assignment.
right. And especially
first.
because especially for that, it was like, okay, he didn't know what the assignment was going to be, so he couldn't tell her.
Yeah,
And that was actually pretty smart for the writers to be like, okay, we're going to have them swap faces, and now Troy is going to be Archer, and he's going to live his life, go home to his wife, and everything like that, whatever. But he's going to still act as Castor Troy.
yeah.
And so, like, he's all over his wife and everything, and just, like, a complete 180 of his interaction with his wife and stuff. And so that was interesting, but I would feel like that you would get tipped off of being like, you're completely different. And like, especially where Archer goes to the house to confront his wife to tell him, going like, hey, test his blood. His blood is AB, and I know this. But like, I was thinking the whole time when he was interacting with her, going like, just do the fucking hand to face thing. She knows that it would be you because you haven't done that yet.
Yeah, but
like-
she had to earn he had to earn her trust a little bit more before he did something like that, though.
Well, yeah, I guess that's true. But
Because then you just like you try to put your hand next to it, it's like, get away from me. You know,
Right.
it's like you have to earn a little bit more trust, and then that's like the
then
like,
that's the reveal of going like, hey, this is me. This is me.
this is,
Just be like, hold on, shut up.
this is-
I'm trying to do a
it's like,
thing.
It's like definitive, you know. So,
Yeah.
I feel like I
But
had to wait to do that for a little bit.
yeah, but then because we go to Archer going to confront his friend that gave him the information at his house.
Yeah.
And he's all like, they give him the drugs and stuff because they drug his drink right in front of him.
Yeah.
And it's like, because that's what he would usually do. And he would and this is when we get the synonymous line of going like, well, once we catch Archer, I want to take his face off.
Which is
I'd like to take his face off.
so unhinged. Like
yeah.
like
And
you-
then
you
like
can-
his
you
friends are like, what? Like, we're not gonna kill him, you just want to take his face
Like
off? Like, that's weird.
We know why he wants to take his face up, but like
Right.
him explaining that to the other people for the first time, like they know he's crazy.
Oh yeah.
But like the fact that he said that, like, I hate him so much now, I want to take his face
Off.
off.
And then
And it's
they're all
like-
like, take his face off, and it's just like, that's weird.
You're a genius, though.
Yeah. And like, I think that is something that he would actually say, like that Troy would actually say, probably. Like, it's super unhinged that they just
but,
go
like,
along with it.
Like he would like that. Like this is the first time they ever thought he would say something like this. But like
Yeah.
they're here, like you know, it's Castor. So like,
right. It's like, he's crazy. We'll go along with it. Whatever. But yeah, so he's drugged, and he's never really done that hardcore of drugs before because like he gets onto the bed and starts freaking out, and like he sees himself in the mirror and he pulls out his gun, thinking that it's all like, no, it's me, it's Castor Archer. So, and especially when like his like Troy's girlfriend comes in, and
Gina,
and goes like, and he just goes like, it's me, it's Castor. And she so she slaps him. So, but then we find out that he actually has a kid.
Yeah,
so,
and
because by the end of the movie, when Archer comes back to the house, he goes like, "Oh, like we have a new addition to the family. Like here's Adam."
Yeah,
I
it's
think
Adam,
that's his name. Yeah. He goes like, it's Adam. So like he has nowhere else to go because like his mom and now his dad died.
And so like that fills the hole that he used to have
for his son.
Because now it's like, well, this is Castor's son, and it's like, so Castor has ruined another life.
Right.
You know,
but yeah. But yeah, that was the other thing. And then especially where it's like when they had the giant shootout at the penthouse.
Yeah.
And because like now Troy's thing is to like with his brothers to be like, okay, here's the plan. We're gonna like me as Archer, I'm going to basically go to all of the competitors and we're just gonna go and raid and kill all of them. And then that way we're gonna be the only criminals that are gonna be around. Mm-hmm. So that way we can do whatever the hell we want. And it's like I can play as Archer, you're still my brother, and then we just basically control everything that happens. So, and I'm like, that's a pretty smart plan, though.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, they go to the penthouse because they figure that he was going to be there, and of course they were right. And because his brother calls him and goes like, "Oh, it looks like that he's starting to live like you now." And everything. So that's indicating like, okay, he's at the penthouse.
Yeah, like he's like. You know, because they're like Gina and him are making it on the bed, basically.
Yeah, and so they go to the penthouse, and then they start raiding it.
Yeah.
And then they all get shot up, and like, especially where they're both back to back up against a mirror, and he just goes like, "Hey, why don't you just die?" Blah 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 blah, and he goes like, "No, like I'd rather just kill you," and he goes like.
It's such a good effect because
Troy tells Archer like, okay, like this was my plan, blah 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 blah, and he just goes like, doesn't sound great to me. And he goes like, okay, plan B then, like we'll just kill each other.
Yeah.
And the fact that like, for one, they're both side by side or back to back, and then they both like, when basically John Travolta says that line, and then they both swing around and then see each other in the mirror.
It's like they're seeing the other person.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like that's actually really cool.
It's a
once
good
you think
effect,
about it.
yeah.
It's all like, why don't we just kill each other? And then like basically they would turn to each other and see each other in the mirror.
But
and
like
it's
they would see their reflection.
Right.
But they're in their other person's bodies.
Right.
It's a really cool effect.
Yeah. I'm like, that was actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then they start shooting at each other, and then he gets away. And I actually had that written down. I'm like, that's actually really cool. And cut to him being back at the office now, Troy, and he's like in the office, and his boss is talking to him and stuff, and like he notices that he keeps clenching his chest. He goes like, oh, he's gonna have a heart attack.
Yeah, he's gonna have a heart attack. So it's like,
and he just goes like, all right, I know how to play this. So then like he hits him in the back of the neck, and then like he slams his chest, and he kills him by doing that. And then he just calmly calls up the desk, and he just goes like,
please call a paramedic.
Hey, call a paramedic. Like he just had a heart attack.
I think Rosario was having a heart attack.
And they're like, oh god, and he goes like, okay,
goodness.
you got it. And he's just like, okay, cool. And then like hangs up, and then they go to the funeral.
The head of the FBI bureau that he was working at is basically going to like get in his way. Like he's like, I'm taking over this investigation because you're clearly out of control or something like that.
Yeah,
like, well,
and he
I
goes
gotta
like,
get rid of this guy.
Yeah, he just goes like, okay, because like the
neck
because
chop to like heart slam was like that was a good move.
Quick, yeah, and it was quick too because he goes like wham, and it spins around, poof, and just hammer fists his chest like damn, but Yeah, because like that was the whole thing that he needed to do to escape was like because him as Archer went to the bomb squad and went like, hey, why don't you guys leave? Like, I'll take care of this. They're like, and because he asked them like, how far along are we? And he goes like, well, you might as well just like say goodbye.
Yeah.
So because like we can't do anything about this like bomb. And he goes like, why don't you guys like
get out of here?
Why don't you guys go get a cup of coffee? All right. Why don't you guys like head
And it's
out?
like for the bomb squad just leave to let him like
right. Just to let him just do it. He goes like, you know what? I'll take care of this. Okay. It's like,
and they just like, okay,
you're not an expert in bombs. What are you doing?
Yeah, they were
So-
like, get back, like this thing's about to blow. What are you doing, idiot?
Yeah.
You know?
And but yeah, so then he shuts down the bomb by punching in the passcode, and he gets a call from the president and everything. So
Who's the president this time?
We don't know.
97. Like who?
like
who,
in
who-
'97, because this is when the movie came out.
Wouldn't that
Probably
be-
Bush Senior,
Yeah, probably Bush
or Clinton.
I think it was one of those two.
Yeah, it was either Bush or Clinton, like Bush Senior or Clinton, because then I think it was like 2004 to 2000 or
No, it was
no
this-
2000 would have been Bush Jr.
Yeah, so this
because
probably was Bush
he
Senior
ran
then.
for 2 terms.
So it was Bush. It was Bush Senior, then Clinton,
Yeah.
then Bush Junior.
Yeah,
or George W.
Yeah, and then it was Obama in 08 to 2012.
Yeah, thanks for that history lesson,
yeah,
sir.
yeah. You're welcome.
Okay,
Hey, don't say this podcast doesn't teach you anything, okay?
definitely don't say this podcast doesn't teach you anything.
Yeah.
But like we missed a scene that was important. I think it's like, earlier in the thing, like Castor is, in Shawn Archer's body, notices that, oh man, Shawn Archer's got kind of a hot daughter, huh?
Oh,
And
yeah,
so-
the whole creepy thing of like where she's in her underwear talking on the phone with her boyfriend.
Yeah.
And then he just goes like, "Oh yeah, like this is great." I'm like, "That's weird and
And then
gross."
he reaches into her room and is like, just grabs a cigarette. So like,
Yeah. And so she goes
like,
like, I didn't know that you smoked." And he goes like, "Well, you're going to be noticing a few
a lot of
changes
changes
around
around here. And then a scene later, with her again, she pulls up with her boyfriend.
Yeah, and
and
he's basically like basically almost like her.
about to do like essay, basically.
Yeah, basically essaying her
But and then
and stuff.
which I thought was cool is like Castor pulls him out of the car,
Yeah.
and starts beating the shit out of him, and it's
Right.
like, yeah, like I feel like you would do that no matter like I don't think he was doing that because that's what Shawn Archer would do.
Yeah.
I think he was just doing that because this guy's a creep, and he's kind
Right.
of creeping on this like this girl. Like
Yeah.
you can't say, well, you definitely can, but like.
Right.
So I thought it was kind of cool that they did that that scene of Castor beating up the boyfriend.
Yeah.
Because they could have easily just like let him like ignore it, you
Right.
know? Because like
But
that
he
would, like,
needed to play as Archer, and that's basically what
but
Archer would have done.
I don't think he did it because he was trying to pretend to be Archer.
Well, yeah.
though. I think he just did it because he wanted to.
Right. Well, also probably because he's jealous because he
Yeah.
wanted to fuck his wife and fuck his daughter. So there's that.
So and
but-
then he like smashes him through his car window, tells him to get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
And
And
then,
then they go into the house, and then he gives her a butterfly knife.
But before that,
Because-
he's like, if you dress like that, of course that's gonna happen. So like,
And so of course she goes like, yeah, typical dad, like blame the shit on me.
yeah, and then
And he goes like, do you have protection? And she goes like, you mean condoms, right? And he goes like, no, protection.
he
Takes
pulls
out a butterfly knife. And which it's like, thanks to him, she used it on him later on in the movie. So
So that's why that
Because
scene's
of
important,
him-
because like she tells him like, okay, all you gotta do is just jam this thing in and then twist
into
it so
the
the
thigh
wound closes.
and then twist it so
the
that way
wound-
they can't close.
So the wound can't close. Yeah. So it's like,
because you'd have to go and get stitches.
yeah,
for
'cause
the-
I want to
for-
touch on that scene before we get to the ending because
Yeah.
that was an important part that like she basically taught her how to use a knife on him
Yeah,
later on in the movie. So
but
like,
yeah, and then getting close to the end, where they're at his boss's funeral, and because now his wife believes Archer.
Eve
as-
believes that Archer is just in Castor's body, basically.
Yeah.
To her understanding.
Right. So because she tested his blood because she works as a
She's a doctor, yeah,
at the
so-
hospital, and they so he tests his blood, and he does the face thing, going like this.
Yeah.
Just
like he appears
put
behind
his-
her in the doctor and like in
in
the
office.
lab, you know.
Yeah. And especially where he got shot, like she stitches him up and stuff like that too.
Yeah, because he was.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, they go there, and so he tells him like the plan, or tells her the plan of what's going to happen, and then we have a good old Mexican standoff with each other.
Yeah, there's a lot of
and like
people
as soon
with
as
guns.
like when Archer comes in as Troy into the church to like say farewell to his boss
Yeah.
and stuff. I kept seeing pigeons. I'm like, yep. In John Woo fashion, there's the pigeons.
I also love in the Mexican standoff scene. My least favorite thing about Mexican standoffs is when someone says, "Oh, this looks like a Mexican standoff." It's like, yeah, we know.
Right.
You don't have to say it. It's a stupid
They
quip.
didn't say anything about
Like,
it.
thank you for not acknowledging it, because it's like that's cool enough that it's at this point anyway. You just ruin it by like, oh, this is just putting a cheesy quip in there. It's like,
Right.
come on.
Yeah.
You have a gun to your head. Shut up.
Yeah, 'cause,
Anyone
like-
can start shooting at any point. Stop talking.
Yeah, because like in true John Woo fashion, there's always slow motion and pigeons in any action scene, and like especially where he directed a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie, which is one of my favorites, being Hard Target, where they're in a giant like warehouse, like an abandoned warehouse, and like there's just a bunch of white pigeons around. And everybody's shooting at each other. There's explosions happening, but like the pigeons aren't dead. So, and it's just like, what? But yeah, it's always in true John Woo fashion. There's always pigeons and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, and especially where they have the final confrontation with each other face to face again, where Castor Troy comes in to the church and starts saying a prayer in Italian, or he starts
Latin.
singing in
It's
Latin.
in Latin.
Yeah, in Latin. So yeah, and he goes like,
it's like I think it's like a psalm or something like that.
yeah, something like that. But yeah, and then they confront each other, and then they have the Mexican standoff, and then they all start shooting at each other. Everybody's pretty much dead, except for them and Eve, and the daughter's there.
Gina dies, you know.
And
Adam's
so
baby mama.
because she still thinks that he's Troy,
Yeah.
and so because that like he basically is Archer, because he acts like Archer. He's not acting as Troy, and so that's why she goes like, "Oh, like this is your son," and he
Yes.
goes like, "Oh my god!" and starts freaking out and just going like, "Oh my god!" like Michael,
Calls him Michael instead of like
Adam.
Troy. What are you doing?
Yeah, and it's like, "You're freaking him out. Stop
Yeah.
it!" And when she dies, she goes like, "Oh, take care of her son." He goes like, "Oh yeah, I will."
Yeah.
And like that's the reason why that at the end he has Adam, is because
Yeah.
that like both of his parents are dead anyway. So, and they have the huge gunfight, and that was also pretty cool that it just kept running around, just shooting at each other and stuff. And where he has him by the throat and everything.
Die,
And then-
die.
Yeah, and starts saying that. Well, yeah, he starts saying that again for the second time, and they so now his voice is fucked up.
Oh,
now
yeah.
now Archer finally has his voice back.
Again, that
because he got
foreshadowing
like
from the
hit
beginning of the movie.
hit in the neck and stuff or something. And his daughter is like conflicted because she has a gun, and so like they're
like-
like, "Oh, shoot him."
It's like, no, don't shoot him.
Yeah, and so she shoots Archer in the shoulder, and he goes like putts, and he goes like,
No daughter of mine would be able to miss that shot. you
right.
know?
And so he like holds her at gunpoint, so she's freaking out because she doesn't understand what the hell's happening.
What's going on?
And
What planet am I on?
Yeah, and so he goes to shoot at him, and then they go to a boat chase scene, which is also like pretty cool. They crash onto a pier,
Like
under a pier.
like a dry dock, I think.
Yeah, and he has a harpoon gun, and he goes to shoot Troy, and Troy grabs it before it stabs him,
Yeah.
so that way he can't actually like have the harpoon shoot. And he starts cutting up his face,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
he goes like, "Good luck trying to get your face back, asshole." So he starts I don't know if he was like trying to fuck it up or if he was actually trying to cut it off.
I think he was actually trying to cut it off the face.
Yeah. And he like can't remember what he did. I think he like I don't know, like he punched him or something, but I think that he like kicked him in the balls or something.
Or I think he just like stabbed him. I think probably.
I don't know, but yeah. So he
Like-
lets go of the gun, and then he basically gets freaking shot with it, and then he dies. And then again, him just saying like, "Die, finally die."
Yeah.
And like they take him in the ambulance. They're like, okay, like we got, and then they believe him to actually be Archer because his wife calls the department,
Yeah.
tells them what was going on, and they ask him like, Archer, are you okay? And he goes like, wait, what? Like, what did you call me? And they're
Yeah.
like, Archer,
He's a-
like you're Archer,
He doesn't believe that they believe him, you know.
right?
So
And then like especially his one of the people that was on his team to take down Troy was there, like the Asian lady.
yeah.
And stuff, and they finally believed him to be Archer. And again, this is the reason why I mentioned this earlier, was the fact that like they do the surgery
Yeah,
again, and then he
dumb
goes
thing
like,
you're
"Oh,
mentioning,
that
yeah.
scar that I had on my chest, like I don't need it anymore," as a reminder. And he goes like, okay." And so he goes back home after the procedure, and then that's when they introduce Adam, and then that is the end of Face Off.
Yes.
So
Very good cathartic ending, I'd say.
yeah. So
After all the chaos
he
that
now
was
has
there.
another son that is not his biological son, but still.
Part of me wishes that like they couldn't like quite do the procedure, so now
He
Sean
has his
Archer has
face.
to live in Castor Troy's body now.
Right.
That would have been, I think, a little bit more interesting to me. But
Yeah.
like, because like him going back to normal, like everything is okay, is like was kind of okay, but like, it could also would have been kind of weird for his daughter and his wife to like accept like, oh, this is the man that killed our son.
Yeah. Hey,
So-
what are you doing? Stop it.
Anyway, yeah.
But yeah, that's the end of Face Off. And then we will get to our consensus on this being a rent, buy, or skip. Hence the reason why this is called RBS in the first place.
RBS.
And so, would you like to go first, or do you want me to go first?
I want to know what you thought first. I think you should go first.
Okay. I don't know. Just like the last, like earlier episodes, where I'm like, I'm on the fence with this. I'm on the fence with it being a buy or a skip, because I actually own this movie now on digital, because it was like $5 on digital. So I was all like, okay, you know, like I really like this movie, but I do really enjoy the movie. I think it's a good movie. And given the fact that, like I mentioned earlier, was that like you have both Nicolas Cage and John Travolta playing as each other, and like they play as
Whatever.
that's it. They play as themselves, but then after the procedure, they play as each other.
It's a lot of good like characterization and like acting on the two leads parts.
Right.
This
So
is definitely the strongest aspects of this film, I would say, is the ability to mimic each other.
yeah, I'd say that it's a good movie. It is a really good action film.
Before you give your consensus, just let you know, I won't bash you on this.
Well, I know.
I sort of I realized I sort of bashed you on War Games a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm not going to bash you this time.
Oh,
for,
I know.
For what you think on
Well,
this film.
I don't think it's a skip for sure, but I'm trying to think of if it's a rent or a buy, because like you always say, like it's definitely worth your time.
Yeah,
But
like,
it just depends on like, okay, if you really enjoy the movie, then buy it. But if you really like, okay, like I think
Watch
it's
it
all
once in a
right,
while.
then it's like a rent. But I don't really know off the top of my head, but like I don't know. I would say that it's a buy.
you think it's a buy?
Yeah, I would say that it's a buy, just because that like I mean, like you can't get tired of it, and you can also pick up like little things of going like, okay, like them doing certain things of mannerisms and like trying to pick out how people feel and stuff like that.
You got to respect the
So-
effort they put into
Oh, yeah.
like trying to like figure out how correctly to turn John Travolta into Nick Cage and vice versa.
Right, and especially since they spent 2 weeks together,
Yeah, there was a lot of effort
trying to get
like,
each other's mannerisms and how they act, and like the way that they could just like switch into their co-stars personality with different like cues, like different vocal cues and stuff like that.
Like they play off each other really well.
Yeah, because like that was the thing that that I saw, was that they were able to play off of each other as each other because of not just the mannerisms, just by subtle words that they would say.
Yeah.
That would actually have them act as themselves. So, for that, I would say that it's a buy. So,
Yeah, I'm sort of there with you as well. Like I'm gonna say that it's more of a rent
I mean, it's alright, like...
for me, but it's a high rent. It's borderline because
yeah, because
while-
like
while-
that's what I was trying to say, was like, okay, it's either a buy or a rent. So like, it's a really good movie, don't get me wrong, but I also feel like it's kind of a dad movie.
It is kind of a dad movie. Like that's like such a good category of like there's movies that your dad is watching out in the living room,
Right.
And
like
just
you watch,
happen to
like
stumble
you walk
on.
in and then it's just like, oh, like, what are you watching? It's like, oh, I'm watching Face Off. It's like, oh, okay.
War Games is a little bit kind of like that too. Now that
Yeah.
I mention it, it's like it's a movie that your dad would watch, right?
Right.
I'm gonna say like if I give it like a scale of 1 to 10, like this movie is like a 7.5.
Yeah.
like
I would say
feel
that's
like
a solid 8.
8 and above are like a buy for me. But
Right.
like this movie was like a 7.5. It's really good.
Yeah.
But it's not like the best film I've ever seen. You
Oh
know?
yeah, 100%.
But like I
Like,
do
it's
respect.
still a good movie.
Like
but
I'm going to give it a high rent just to as respect for the people who, like they didn't think this movie was gonna like this movie is also one of a kind.
Yeah.
It's not a franchise.
Right.
And it's not a movie
it's a
that
one-off, and you don't really see this kind of a movie anyway.
yeah, it's not a movie that
Because like
they're gonna remake or they're gonna add a sequel
right.
to like
because like
Top Gun.
because like I also I had something and I lost it. Oh, like the thing that I was thinking about halfway through the movie was like the fact that now John Travolta is playing as a bad guy and then Nicolas Cage is playing as the good guy. It's all like, okay, like now you have to root for the bad guy to be the basically
Yeah,
as
it's
the bad
such
as
an
the good guy.
interesting.
So
Like you have to like, oh, I kind of hope that this kind of works out because I want to see where this goes, you know,
Right.
instead of like being like, they did a good job of making it so that you want to root for both the good guy and the bad guy.
yeah,
But like, so it's just fun to watch them try to like intermingle with like each other's lives, you know,
yeah.
because it's never to the point where you absolutely hate Castor Troy. Castor
Right.
Troy is so much fun to watch. Nicolas Cage's like interpretation of the character is so interesting to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, and while John Travolta is, well, he is the straight man, and the movie starts off a little bit slow, I will
Yeah.
say, as they're trying to set up for it. But like, I think the plot twist of, oh, he's not brain dead. He wakes up because the trauma of the surgery like
Woke him up.
basically, and now he gets to walk out and like the whole point of the mission was like it was supposed to be foolproof. It was supposed to work perfectly.
Yeah.
And we're gonna get out, and you're on the cusp of thinking that it like he's just about to get away with it until Archer walks in or Castor Troy as Archer walks into the prison, and then
Yeah.
the realization like, oh, this is what's gonna happen now.
Right.
So like I am so glad that I watched this fresh and like without any spoilers, because
Yeah.
now I have experienced it, and I'm glad that I did, because it's definitely one of those movies that you need to watch, I think.
Yeah.
But I still will say that it is a rent, because it's not something that you will want to watch all the time. Like you won't want to watch this movie because like once you know like the twists and turns of what happens,
Yeah.
then it becomes a little bit more diminished, I would say.
Right.
But so I will say that like for me it's a high rent.
Yeah. Well,
Long roundabout way of me saying that like it's almost there for me being a buy, but not quite.
yeah. Well,
It's definitely not a skip.
well, yeah. Now that like you mentioned it, going like, you know, watching it once in a while, because like even for me, like I own this movie, but it's like, would I ever actually sit down and watch it every time? It's like, no. So I actually changed my answer to a rent.
I mean, it's all right. Like,
You're gonna say it's right.
So, but
again,
it is a high rent though.
Again, that's fine.
And like I said, that's why I was like borderline of it being a buy or a rent. So it's like right there in the middle, and like you said, it's like a 7.5. So yeah, I changed my answer to it being a rent. So
yeah,
not because you changed my mind. It was just because that like me more thinking about it, I was just like, you know what? Actually, now that you mention it, no, it is definitely like more of a
it
rent.
is certainly easier to go to punch down than it is to punch up.
Right. Because like you can't just say, oh, you know what? Actually, it's a buy, like from a rent, or it's a skip,
nope,
and it's like no, now it's a buy.
my mind now that you convinced me that it's a rent. I'm actually going to say it's a skip. Actually,
right.
It's not worth your time.
Yeah.
No, this is like.
This is a good movie. It's a fun action movie. Like
yeah, it's like
it has a twist in it and stuff like that. So
it's kind of like if you weren't like if you thought that John Wick was too violent for you, maybe, and that John Wick's like world was a bit confusing at times. Like if you're like not to bash on John Wick's films or people that like it's too complicated to understand, but like if you just want like a singular action film that is not like if you don't want to watch all 4 John Wick films, you know, you could watch this and then get a similar feel, but like with less gunplay.
Yeah.
More focused on the plot and the characters rather than like the actual action of like a John Wick film is what I would say. Mm-hmm. You can say that I'm totally wrong on that, by the way, as the John Wick expert.
Yeah.
But like I feel like that this is again, it's a dad movie.
Right.
So definitely. That's a great one. We should do like a list of like top
dad
10
movies.
or top 5 dad movies of all time.
Yeah,
because we got a couple on this list. Independence Day, dad movie.
Yeah, I was gonna say, speaking of dad movies, I'll get to that once we get done with our thing of it being suggested people.
Yes.
So for suggested people, I will go onto IMDb. I will look at a 1, 10, sometimes both star review, and we will actually have an open up discussion about that. So,
well, for like maybe like 2 minutes.
Yeah, not like another 20 minutes or nothing.
There's not much to dissect with reviews on IMDb. Let's be honest.
No, because like even with this one, with a 1-star review, was bad beyond belief. Travolta, Cage, and Allen deserve Purple Hearts for the wounds inflicted trying to save this dog. It was an utter disaster. Plot, script, direction, continuity, even stunts, all bad beyond belief. Wu completely misses any elements that make action movies worthwhile. It was a series of bad comic book panels tied together with nothing. I cannot recall a mass audience movie that is any worse than this.
Wu doesn't understand action films?
He literally had his career based off of making action movies. So, but the fact that they're talking about like, okay, sure, you know, like the stunts aren't that great just because there's not a whole lot of stunt work that goes on in this.
But you still got the like the jumping and like the
the explosions,
and hiding behind cover, like Archer literally like our caster like and Archer's body literally goes around the whole entire circle.
Yeah.
In like the hideout basically as he's shooting at him, you know.
Yeah.
It's like there's a lot of gunplay.
Right. But the plot is actually solid.
It's a very good plot for an action film,
right.
I'd say.
The script is pretty solid as well.
Yeah.
So the continuity, I don't know what the hell they mean by continuity.
Like
what do you mean by the continuity?
Don't flow together. Well, it's because that they're jumping back and forth between the two, right?
Yeah.
Would you rather see like multiple scenes of all Castor Troy and then followed by multiple scenes of all Sean Archer?
Right.
It's like they have to jump back and forth because it's a dichotomy between the two characters.
Right.
And you have to see.
It's like this is what's happening at this exact moment in this time too. It's
to show the contrast between the two characters and their personalities and their lifestyles. There has to be a back and forth.
Right.
So like, I don't know.
But speaking of that, so now going on to the other side of
10
it.
10 out of 10? Yeah.
So we got the 10 out of 10 score. So Face Off, a masterpiece of the 90s, is a must-watch film. And they basically just had that as the beginning part of the sentence.
Masterpiece should be one word, by the way, not two.
Yes. This sweeping drama I don't think you would consider this as a drama.
No,
maybe
it's-
action drama. I don't know.
Maybe.
The sweeping drama stars two paragons of Hollywood: Oscar winner Nicolas Cage and John Travolta of Michael fame. I love that they said Michael. Nicolas Cage knows no bounds when playing a cheeky but unsettling Castor Troy, yet is able to capture family man Sean Archer with a profound execution. Not to be outdone, John Travolta's daring portrayal of Castor brings out his family man's inner demons. When one hoodwinks the other, the game is afoot. All in all, Cage and Travolta deliver a performance that dances with our souls that would make Curious George and the man with the yellow hat proud. I don't know what the hell.
Huh?
Why would you have that correlation
bro
between
yapping
those
about?
things? However, John Travolta's actual dancing is sorely missed from this film. Despite this sole flaw, this is a must-watch.
Are they
So-
talking about John Travolta's dancing in Grease?
Yeah,
As
as well as
You-
Pulp Fiction.
yeah, but
But yeah, no. Oh, also in Friday Night Fever
I guess, but like
or
don't need-
Sunday Night Fever,
this
something
guy,
like
this,
that. I
this
can't
guy
remember.
would have thought that this movie would have been better if John Travolta did some dancing in it.
Right.
I could see Castor Troy doing like a little bit of a jig.
Right.
You know.
Doing like a dance or something.
I mean, it was certainly well written. With I don't know whether you're talking about the
Curious George.
and Man with the Yellow Hat. It must have been reading too.
Curious George.
Yeah, it must be reading too much Curious George, man.
I don't know.
So imagine it's like if Curious George maybe had a gun,
Right.
And the yellow man with the yellow hat had a gun,
Right.
Right. It's
And
like
they swapped bodies, and it's just like, I don't know who's who.
it's like a Mad Magazine panel. I feel like.
Right.
Anyway.
But yeah, but otherwise, that's been the episode. We're not gonna spin a wheel for this week because next week will be the 4th.
Oh,
So-
we're doing it before the 4th and not after the 4th.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because as of recording, we are going to record not this following weekend. Going to record for Independence Day, but then that'll come out the following week.
Are you going to release it on Independence Day? Yeah, that's smart. Okay.
So, which that being said, we're talking about Independence Day. We're not going to spin a wheel for it because when we talk about it, it's going to come out on the 4th.
It's not even on the wheel.
So, yeah, it's not even on the wheel. So don't freak out. But, again, thank you all so much for tuning in, watching, listening, however you guys are doing it. Again, leave a like, leave a comment. Be sure to share this around and also subscribe to the channel. And we will see you guys next week for Independence Day. So, see ya.
Yeah.